I move we adjourn. Second.
Last one in, first one out. So, all right, now that we have a quorum, we'll go ahead and call to order the regular monthly meeting for July 15 of 2021. We'll go ahead and have a moment of silence. Amen. All right, I need a motion to approve our agenda. Motion approved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, Larry, unanimous, those present. Have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Joe moves, Tom seconds, all in favor, unanimous. All right, there's no attorney report. Unfortunately, our attorney is home, not feeling well, so he wasn't able to join us tonight anyway. There is no old business, so let's move on to new business. We just appointed Sissy Henry to take Stan Griffiths' position, and his term would have ended. So we need to reappoint for that seat, and I think Sissy's willing to serve a full 4-year term. So she said she'd accept that nomination if y'all want to put her back in.
Yeah, I'm nominated.
Okay, so Joe will make that motion. We have a second. Tom seconds, all in favor? Unanimous. All right, the amendment to the fee schedule for building permits, we'll have to get that actually written up into ordinance form and officially approved at a later meeting. But what I wanted to do is bring to you guys the idea and see if y'all were okay with that before we went through the procedure of creating the ordinance. And what we do is anything over 300 feet would stay with a $175 fee for a building permit. Anything between 64 feet and square feet and 300 square feet would be $30. So that'd cover like little storage sheds, some smaller things, maybe a small deck on the back of the house or something. Just not quite as much for that fee. And then anything under 64 square feet there would be no fee for that. But cover like, say, dog houses, play sets, little toy houses in the backyard for kids to play and stuff like that. The planning and zoning has picked up and had discussed last night and approved the idea of things that small not even requiring a permit at all. And so anything over 64 square feet would still require a permit, but anything 64 feet or less wouldn't.
Right now, it does require it.
Right now, the way that we understand all the wording, it would require permit down to, a mouse house. If it has a roof on it, it's a building. So, and structures still require a building permit. So we just figured cover some bases and eliminate some unnecessary.
My poor dog will have to continue to live inside.
I bet he's not going to complain.
He likes air conditioning.
So can I have a motion that we go ahead and write up the ordinance to change that, to add those fees in that fee schedule? Joey makes that motion, Tom seconds, all in favor?
Is there no public comment on this? Sorry to interrupt. Is there public commentary on this, or is that not?
We're not at the ordinance phase of it, but if you'd like to comment.
Oh, no, I'll wait. I just wanted to make sure I didn't do anything inappropriate.
No, that's
I appreciate it.
That's fine, yeah. We'll come back to, we'll have to write it up into an ordinance form, the official form approved by our attorney, and then we'll bring it
Oh,
back
so
and
that's
approve
like
that
weeks down the
ordinance.
line.
Yeah, it'll probably be next month.
Okay, in that case, then I guess I probably should get this out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a letter here from J&D Urban Holdings LLC, obviously against the 3 ordinances, and I don't know, Linda, I handed to you for reading, since I'm
Yeah,
not technically a J&D representative, but I am a landholder, so I can also.
I think you're confused though. This is for the fee schedule,
Fee schedule, not the
not what.
64
we
square
talked
foot thing
about.
we just literally talked about.
No, the B and Z talked about last night?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, cool.
No, we're not doing that. That hadn't even made it.
But I'll take it if you want to give it to me.
Yeah.
That's not what we're
Yeah,
talking
so I
about.
don't have to get up again.
Sure.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's not on this agenda, but that will, that will come up.
I just like
And this was.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Apologies for the interruption.
No, that's fine. And
Yeah,
I see the confusion, because what
Yeah.
we're saying is on the fee schedule that there won't be a fee for 64 square feet or less, but planning and zoning hasn't changed that to where there's not a permit yet at all.
Gotcha.
We would still require a permit for that
Okay.
at this point,
All right.
so.
My bad.
So we're doing a notice for, because P and Z will have to do a public hearing, council will do a public hearing. So the public hearing for that proposed ordinance change that you're commenting on will go to the to the planning and zoning on August the 11th, their next meeting, their August
Gotcha.
meeting. And then it would come to council August 12th if it gets approved by
All
planning
right.
and zoning. So you're way ahead of the
Got it, got it, got it,
game.
got it, I got it, I appreciate it.
So yeah, there will be actually 2 public hearings on that.
Okay,
So
cool.
one at their level and one at our level.
Absolutely.
But that's good to have
Yeah.
comments, ahead of the time.
So, okay, terrific. All right, so, all right, let me pull some pictures up for you guys real quick. Let's see how I can do this. So, let me turn around. All right, so our next item on the agenda is talking about, I may have used the wrong terms, but decommission and reclamation of Hardman Street cistern. What's going on? This is an old, it's about 20, you can barely see it in this picture, but it's about a 20-foot by 20-foot square cistern. It's at ground level on this side, and it's about 10 feet off the ground on the back side. It's a stacked rock and cement cistern that used to be the water supply for the town. Larry, were you here when that was online?
Yeah.
Okay, so Larry maybe will tell us a little bit more about it. But this is the current state of the building that sits on top of that cistern. And, let's see if I can get myself figured out here.
Does that help or not?
Yeah, that helps. All right, well, I'll do it this way. I should be able to scroll through this, and I don't know why I can't. Anybody know an IT guy?
Retired.
Retired? All right, so this is just a picture of, there's a concrete lid that covers an opening here. It doesn't completely cover it anymore. We put these blocks on it to keep stuff from just falling down inside. This is inside the building. Floor of that building, that's all the insulation that used to be up on top. This is the current state of the roof, the ceiling and roof line inside. Basically what I'm getting at is this thing's in really bad repair. And there are, let me get this one picture here, here we go. Not that one. Let's try this one. All right, and this is a corner on the downhill side. This is the back of that block building we're looking at. It's hard to see in this image, but there is a split running all the way down this corner that's open to the inside of the building. So basically, this wall here is about to fall over. It's got a big, about a 6-inch concrete slab, homogeneous concrete slab on top. And so if that thing falls over, it just kicks over and it's going to slide down the hill. And where I'm standing when I take this picture is another road bed. And there's a road bed above this. Okay, backstory on this is that when this cistern was put online, the town was given a 75-foot square piece of property surrounding this building that's in the middle of somebody else's property. It was part of the Moss estate way back. And this was done in 1946, I believe. This was deeded over to us and an access easement across that property. So the neighboring property owner is concerned about the safety of this building and the liability it puts on us. They have offered to take it down at their own expense and make the ground match the existing slope. They're not asking to have the property. They just want to offer to take this down for us so it's not a hazard that's in the middle of their property. So I think it'd be cheaper to let them do that than to go put a fence around it or try fixing it up. And
Does the town need the property?
Yeah, why not give it back?
we can't, it's, it's hard for us to just give something back. We have to go through a procedure. We probably have to put up for auction, I believe, a sealed bid auction.
Yeah, there's a process for abandoning the property. You have to offer it, you have to get it appraised and you offer it to the adjoining property owners, but I mean, you can't just give it to them. So it has to, you have to establish value and.
Right.
But, and I think Tommy's exactly where I'm at. Does the city really need it anymore?
I don't think there's any value, there's, value's wrong term. I don't think there's any real usefulness for us. We had some stuff stored inside, but once the ceiling collapsed,
Yeah.
I had Gary and Donna go and clear everything out. And then we've got better storage up here on Gorgeview now.
Mhm.
So we can definitely explore the option of see if there's a way that we can
Sell it, give it,
whatever, to sell it. But for right now, I was just thinking, if we can let them go ahead, if y'all want to let them go ahead and do that at no expense to us, while we explore the other options, we can. Or if you guys want to just go ahead and get Warren to figure out what we can do.
Well, we, over the years, primarily since it was decommissioned as part of our water system, we've been using it for storage. Christmas decorations, I think we've been storing up there for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's no, I know it looks pretty sad there now, but.
I was thinking of a rental, Larry.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you guys a little history on what you're looking at right there. And it is a block building. Now, my question is, if we give, Mr. Parker, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be
behind
Parker or,
this, you know.
yeah, I don't know if it'd be him or his daughter.
Now, we'll wind up with a cistern there, that building is built over this cistern that has about a 4-inch thick concrete cover and everything on it.
Mhm.
So if you take the building away, now you may have some liability issues with a cistern that's gonna be sitting out in the open.
Well, that's what they're saying, is they would tear everything, down the walls, the cistern walls and all of it. They'd pull it all down, they'd get rid of the debris and put it back to its natural state, as though that was never there.
Okay, one other thing now is my memory serves me, that was part of the reason that we used that as a cistern, which was a storage tank, was that we had some springs, that we had a spring there that fed the thing. So we don't want to get into an issue where they may want to try to fill it in, but it's not, that won't work because it's being spring fed.
Okay. Well.
You know, I'm just bringing out the different issues.
There's no, it's not holding water, and I didn't see any water running out around it.
You didn't see any in it, you pull the cover back?
Yeah.
I see no problem with them if they want to take it down and not hold us responsible for any liability whatsoever concerning it. You know, that's my only concern, is that the last time I was up there, and it has been a while, but I was up there, I forget exactly why, but for some purpose, somebody wanted me to go take a look at that, and it had water in it when I looked. You know,
Yeah,
I'd
that
say
big,
6 or 8 foot of water.
yeah, that big crack running down the side right there probably let all that out.
No, I'm talking about the cistern. The cistern
Well,
was
that's what I'm
covered.
saying. This is the cistern right here. And there's a split that goes right down this side, right down to the ground. And the rocks are leaning out away from it, like it's about to fall over.
Okay.
So that is the cistern section. The block walls up here, this is the old, this is that building we looked at from the front, is up here on the top. And so this is the cover, this is that 4 or 6 inch cover you're talking about. And this is the rock wall here with a, like I said, splitter. And on the other side, there's a split. But I don't know if we can see it from this image.
Now, just out to the, if you're looking at that top, if you're standing on the top end of that building, you're looking at it just over to the left, if I'm not mistaken, there's a, I'll call it more of a ground level, was there not? A top and a ground level cistern to the left of the building that's actually was a bit outside of the building itself.
Yeah, that's all the same unit. can find it now. Try this. So,
Yeah,
what you think?
I think I see over to the far left of the
Yeah, so
building, right. over-
This building's sitting, the slab actually cistern starts here, runs across over here for about 20 feet, cuts back, this is the back corner.
Yeah.
This is the back edge, coming back over here, and this is the corner I was just showing you, I was standing down here.
Yeah, and don't I see to the left of that, the door, the left-hand corner on this lower end, don't I see the top of a part of that cistern there on the left?
Yeah, this whole thing is,
On the ground, yeah,
yeah, this whole thing is the cistern,
yeah,
right here. And this is the lid
yeah.
that's not
Okay,
covering it.
that, yeah, okay, that's the lid I had, one of the lids I had in mind, I knew was outside the building, as I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did have some Christmas decorations still in there that we hadn't accessed in years. And it wasn't until it was brought to my attention that the roof had fallen in that we went back up there to look.
Yeah.
And that's when I had Gary and Donna pull all that stuff out. Get it put over here on Lord's View where we have a little storage building that's not being used. It wasn't Long House.
Yeah.
We're not using. So that way we're kind of consolidating things. But anyway, that was what I wanted to bring to you guys was the offer to take all that down, get rid of it, rather than us try to fix it up or try to start using it again.
As, like I said, it's a little bit of a challenge and a little bit of it's not a normal situation because of that cistern, that building sits on top of that thing. And I just want to make sure that the city is definitely in the clear from any liability issues. Particularly when they're out there working on it, if somebody steps over in that thing, they go into the bottom. And you know, we don't want to get into all of that. We want to be sure that if they want to take the building down for their benefit, that we're not held liable for anything whatsoever.
I can definitely talk with Warren and see if they're willing to, and then talk with them and see if they'd be willing to either sign or agree to something to that effect.
Yeah, hopefully everything would go like you, smooth and everything, but in that situation, that's example, when they get back down to the foundation and they start trying to get the foundation of the building out of the way, then they're gonna be on the top of the cistern. And if it hadn't changed, the last time I was up there, it was full of water.
Yes, it's not right now, so I've got a good heavy rain, maybe it would be, so.
Now, let me ask this question, because I'm going on memory here, and I'm not 100% sure of this, but at one time, didn't Wendy have some of her pump mechanism in one corner of that thing, or just outside of it?
No, they actually redid her pump stuff, it's down by the road, way down below.
So they've got a different setup now.
Yeah.
Because when they first got up there, they were using not necessarily that pump house, but they were just outside of it and had a feed to their house. But I guess all that's changed now.
Yeah, a lot of that's changed. They've got another system that I think that we had to cover because they didn't have enough pressure at their meter.
Yeah, I
So,
remember when we got somewhat involved in that.
Yeah.
So,
Replacing, relocating the meter and stuff. I do remember that. But
right.
anyway, I just bring up these as issues that we don't want to get involved with, trying to help somebody beautify their property is basically why they want to take it down, I'm sure.
Well, yes and no, but they've got their kids and my kids running around up there through the woods, and they just don't want them to get over there and get injured, and the city would be liable unless we put a fence up around it. As they said, well, rather than you guys have to put up a fence, we'll be willing to pull this thing down. And they weren't really asking for the property, they were just wanting to make this safe.
Yeah, but just one other thing on it then is, once that building's gone now, do they have a plan in place as to what they want to do, what they're going to do with the cistern itself?
But take it down too, take it all down.
Yeah, but my point is, when they take it down, if it's like I remember it up there, what I'm saying is that it would be like a big buried tank in the ground that is holding water current.
Right, they'd drain it, if there's water in it, they'd tear all the walls down, and then if they needed to, they'd bring some dirt in and fill in.
Building tank.
Yeah, well, I hope they can, because it was spring fed, was the reason that location was chosen, you know, because it was spring fed.
Right. Well, and I'll definitely want to mention that to them, that it's spring fed, that there's no water running anywhere around it. I didn't see any wet spots, and the tank is empty, so I can't imagine anything still feeding into it. But if they did get into it and they found a spring, then we would address that at that time, I would think.
I don't hold me to it just exactly, but I think those springs are, being spring fed from the bottom. Of course, a lot of things change over the years, springs reroute themselves and everything, but the reason that spot was initially chosen and used is because it was actually bottom fed, just a series of springs. So they're coming up from the bottom, you won't actually see it,
Okay.
but it was able to maintain a certain level of water constant. So I don't want them to get into something like, oh gosh, it's like kind of
Right.
fill up a hole that don't want to be filled up, you know,
Right.
because water's running in it. So anyway, all those are things that you might want to discuss with them as you
Yeah.
and get with Warren and make sure we're in the clear from any kind of liability or responsibility or anything, I would say.
Okay. So, what motion you want to make?
Motion to allow the family to do it.
Okay, so
Based
take down
on-
building, contingent on
Right.
the other things that we talked about.
Getting us all in the clear on the
Okay, all right, do we have a second? Joey seconds, all in favor? All right, unanimous. All right, now we need to talk about the fingerprint agreement with Habersham County. I'm guessing that's for you, oh, okay. I assume, sorry.
This is for the alcohol licensing. So this is, we agreed with them last year to do it. This is an annual agreement.
Oh,
So
okay.
they do our fingerprinting for any alcohol licensing.
Okay, so I need authorization to sign the document to this agreement with Habersham County. So Tom makes that motion, we have a second. Joey seconds, all in favor, unanimous? All right. Then authorization to participate with Habersham County in updating their multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. This we do with both counties, I believe, and it's just a way to keep funding coming in to get grants and everything else. I think it opens the door for us to get some grants too, if we qualify for them. But, so I need a authorization to be able to sign that document to agree with them. Okay, Tom makes that motion, Joey seconds. All in favor?
To just simply, you're agreeing to the grant.
No, we're agreeing,
Process.
we're agreeing to, they do a hazard mitigation plan every year. Is it every year?
Every 5 years.
5 years, you have to re-up your hazard mitigation plan. And if we don't sign on, then,
You're basically agreeing to participate in the plan and provide, so they, like, resources, your time, basically, that's all we have. So instead of money, you know, if Tanya goes to a meeting or any of us go to a meeting or work on it at the office or any time that we put into it, they get to count that as part of the contribution towards, you know, what their participation level is in the grant that they get for getting the plan done. So
They need to include our participation in their participation so they can better qualify for a grant. And
well, not for, well, they get the grant to actually
Yeah.
do the plan. So, but they need all the participation from all the cities, from staff and everybody else to put the plan together. So it takes, you know, all the time, logging all the hours that you know, attend meetings or work on the plan, you know, so you're basically saying that you'll participate and, you know, help provide available staff resources to assist with the local match requirement. So no money, but time, staff.
I just want to.
No, it's fine. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, on to the big ticket item tonight is the 2022 budget. We want to amend this budget and add a section to our SPOS revenues. We need to, our police department needs to get some radios in order to communicate with Raven County. And Tanya wants to kind of, I don't know anything about this, so this is.
I'm just, yeah, asking for a radio for my Tahoe. The sheriff's office actually gave me a portable, and I've not been able to hear them since they switched over to digital. So I actually need to get a radio for mine. The one in the police car, it won't communicate with them either, so I'm gonna look at that one also, and then a portable to be able to hear them. 'Cause apparently a lot of things happen and I don't hear it.
You can communicate with Habersham County on radio.
Raven,
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Raven County stayed digital when Habersham went, or stayed analog when Habersham went digital. And now Raven County's on their way to going digital. So we have to, that's why with Habersham, with their new radio system, we're pushing for a P25 radio system so that what she's asking for now will theoretically work with their system also. So it's not that you're just getting just for one or the other. We're trying to keep expenses down and make them interoperable.
Two different. You have to have two different.
Right now she will.
Right now I will, but by getting this one to hear Raven, when Habersham switches, we'll switch the head of that radio and I'll be able to hear both.
Both of them on the same one.
So on the very last page of the budget, that's the capital projects. So the available funding, for public safety would be under SPOS 6. And we're looking at approximately 2165 at a minimum, so you may want to round that up.
Let's say 2,500, so we got some installation costs, I'm sure. So I'd say if we did about $2,500 for that, and put it in, add that into the budget. So,
Just make sure that it is compatible with the other one, make sure
It is
what you're doing will be a little bit ahead of the game here.
It's the exact same thing that we're going to be getting.
When they start making changes down there.
so that's the P25 designation. It's, I think it's a federal mandate that anything that's classified as P25 must be interoperable. So we can take our radios and go to California and talk to them if we need to. So,
It ought to be fixed some way like that, so it's all universal, because we've gone through this before, as, I don't know, Tony, if you remember, this same scenario. The two departments using different, radios, and we spent a lot of money. They came up here and did that thing with the tower, and they were supposed to solve the problem, and then
And I'm just trying to keep us safe.
Mike knows. All I'm saying is I don't,
well,
let's
anyone in
not,
public safety knows that's pain.
yeah, let's not cross that bridge again if we can.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get this because I was here and they had a shooting on the bridge and I couldn't hear anything. So for my safety and everybody else, I'd like to be able to hear what goes on there. Somebody
Makes
hit
sense
somebody's
to me.
car and got out with a shotgun and started shooting at him.
And then not long
And
after that,
30 minutes after that, Habersham brought a chase through. So I only knew the chase.
Habersham almost ran
And they
over.
right down before the recycling center and went down a 300-foot embankment to the shoreline trail. I couldn't sleep that night, so I came in to be nosy around and all that happened. So when I came back out, Raven was sitting on the bridge with a wrecked car with bullet holes in it, so.
Common courtesy calls.
Yeah.
Maybe a discussion.
Yeah, we want you to be able to hear that next time.
That'd be great to hear,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Maybe
stay
a-
home next time.
Yeah.
If I were you.
I need to quit getting bored.
So, so that's really all we need to do. We made the other changes as a result of the workshop, I believe.
No other changes after the public hearing.
Yeah. Then having a public hearing, so no other changes other than just adding this in. This doesn't have an effect on revenue from our regular operating budget. It's just adding into using some of our SPOS funds. So
So you've got this already plugged into the budget, this money for this radio.
We have it in our Habersham SPOS 6, we've got $56,100 sitting in there for public safety, so we can certainly cover.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, then I need to get a motion to approve the budget with this addition. Tom makes that, Joey seconds, all in favor, unanimous. All right, you're gonna talk about the budget amendment.
All right, so for last year, we do the end of the year, budget amendment. So as we went along, we knew that we were over budget in our legal expenses, mainly our legal expenses, some of our part-time police. We were a little bit over in, executive on our, insurance on the mayor, or what we get charged for the mayor and legislative, council, mayor and council. So if you look at the budget amendment, the original, we've got your original budget and then the year-to-date. So on revenues, our original budget was $322,663. Year-to-date revenue was $306,623, so we were a little short. However, we did sell the building, George Power Building, which was $220,000. So we ended up over at $536,623 on revenue. So the final amendment I've proposed there is at $348,292. So that would be using $41,667. And you'll see below, when we get into the expenditure side of it, on the year-to-date, like we originally, on our operating, we budgeted $310,663 operating. Year-to-date, we were only at $304,406. We're actually under budget as a total for the general fund. Some of that changes between the time, the end of the year, and when Jolie does our audit. So I like to put a little bit of cushion in there for, things that she prorates or things that come in after, the end of the year, just so, we don't get any kind of over budget kind of write up or anything. So the $336,292 is really just a cushion. We should be closer to our year-to-date number. That's really just a cushion. So the year-to-date, we're at $304,406 with the $12,000 transfer to the water. This is at $316,406. And the net of $210,217. Of course, that's with the sale of the building. So that netted us about $210,000 for the year. So, and then the budget, of course, was net zero. So we didn't use, so I'm not proposing to use all of that sale of assets to balance the budget. In the capital budget, you see the original, and we've used a little bit more throughout the year than what we originally budgeted. Those modified amounts were there. And then on the expenditure side of it, on the next page, kind of shows you what those were for. So we have road improvements. Originally, we budgeted $84,839. Year-to-date, we did $94,705. So just the budget, or the final budget, at $96,000 for police. We didn't budget anything originally. Year-to-date, we were at $4,331 for capital, and I just rounded that to $4,335. Fire, same thing, zero originally. Year-to-date, $2,726, rounded that up to $2,730. And so that for the totals was $93,224 originally, $88,080 year-to-date, and $90,000 for the budget. And then the water, same thing. You've got your original $56,730 for the original operating. Year-to-date, we collected 64,157. So the final amended budget stayed right there at 64,155. And then you've got your other income. We got the grant of 28,845. So we amended that to add that in. We got the 12,000 from the general fund. And then the SPOS 19, we used $88,080 of that. So our total year-to-date was 193,150. So final amended budget, 195,70. And then on your expenditure side, we've got final amendment operating 68,780, capital 136,000, for a total of 204,780. So we had a loss of $9,710. So that's coming out of the water reserves for, and that's budgeted numbers. Our year-to-date numbers is more like 5,610. That's what we're showing year-to-date. In hotel motel, we collected just a little bit more than what we had budgeted. We budgeted 3,000. We actually collected 3,523. So that we have to change that because we can't expend more than what we budget, and we have to expend a certain amount of that per law. So we have to amend that budget. So we contracted out with the Tallulah Falls Business Association. We paid them $1,409 and then transferred to the general fund of $2,114. So then that balanced to 3,523. And I just rounded those numbers up to 4,000 for the actual budget. So the only three actual departments that changed in the general fund were executive, administrative, and police, and those details are. Sorry, having a grandbaby on the way. Have some of my kids on override for my mute. Anyway, that's any questions on any of that?
All right, then, make my motions.
It all balances and Linda's in charge.
All right, so
Everybody's eyes closed up.
need a motion to approve the amended budget for 2021. Tom makes that motion, Joey seconds, all in favor, unanimous. And the final new business item would be our sign permit for Tallulah 1882. I don't know if any of y'all have seen the sign up the road yet, but Linda was right on top of it, informed them that they need a permit for that sign, and unfortunately, y'all have to approve that. And we'll talk about maybe amending our ordinance so that the zoning administrator can do it from now on. That'll be a topic for another conversation. So right now, we need to get you guys to approve the sign, the permit for the sign. Any questions, any thoughts? We're ready to go. All right, and have a motion to approve the sign permit. Larry makes that motion. Tom seconds, all in favor? All in favor, unanimous. All right. Don't really have any mayor's comments, going to cover anything I wanted to talk about earlier. So this is time for public comment, if anybody has any.
I would have asked about the water being out. What happened and how can we prevent it from happening again?
We're working on it. At our last council meeting, we talked about, we lost water up there because of two pressure sensors, basically. They're transducers. That area, if you ever gets hit by lightning a lot, apparently. There are trees up there scarred with lightning all around where this pump house is. So anytime we get a storm through here, it seems to take something out. Mike Sams had several electrical contractors come in and talk about surge suppression systems and a bunch of other things. One of them noticed that some of the wiring in that building is not really in the best shape. and he thinks it's why some of it's even wired wrong. You've got some ground wires that are running to different locations. They all need to be bonded together and things like that. So Mike Sands and his crew are diligently trying to bring us some bids for a surge suppression system and maybe even lightning suppression, like lightning rods and so forth, to put around that building. Because what happened this time was two of the circuit boards, we have it's basically two computers that run those pumps and tell them how to maintain what pressure we want on y'all's system. And the two circuit boards in those computers went out when the storm moved through on, I think it was Monday. And so Monday morning, I went up, checked the water level in the tank. It was good. Everything was running. We had a storm blow through, and then I get texts about 10:30 and saying that y'all were out of pressure. I went up and we couldn't get the pumps to come back on at all. They came out with some circuit boards, tried to fix them. Those circuit boards weren't working, so they had to go back and find some more, brought them in. So it's just lightning, and it just basically act of God situation. What anything that anyone did, the tank stayed full. The tank's been staying full for the most part. We're keeping a really close eye on it. We got the new tank level monitors. We just need to get them installed, and there's a process and procedure we have to go through to do that. So, yeah, we're trying to come up with something. Larry's been talking with him on the phone. They've kept him in the loop, and just
So if I hear what you're saying, like there will be better protection from lightning when all of this, which you just explained, when it's in place.
I would hope so. I mean, there's never an ironclad guarantee with lightning.
It seems to happen.
Yeah, it does happen up there a lot,
It does happen a lot.
and so, but it
Does it
is.
ever happen to the main tank?
No, because the main tank is fed by pumps down here, and we don't have lightning strikes that often down in this area. What has happened to the main tank is lightning will strike the water line coming down the road and blow it out. But that's a few hours worth of fixing. You don't have to wait for electronic components to come in. What they did on the last one, when the transducers went out, is they bought 2 spare transducers. So they thought that's what went out this time and immediately had 2 to install, but that didn't fix the problem. So we may even talk about getting a spare, it's called a VFD, the little computer that we need. Maybe getting a spare one of those, see what that would cost and have it on hand. And even if we put in lightning suppression, it still might not be a bad idea to go that route. But they out here, they're pretty expensive, so we'll figure out what that would be.
Okay, thank you.
They are working.
Barbara, they're trying to get together at least 3 quotes and 3 proposals from 3 different companies, so we'll have something to compare about this lightning suppression system. And it's the type of thing where before they can actually give you a quote on something like that, they want to come out and physically look at the site to see what all they think they would have to do to hopefully help our problem. I won't say that they'll solve it because it's been ongoing for a long time. This seems to be a magnet for lightning for some reason right there in that area, but hopefully we'll get some good news from one of these companies.
Is that real expensive?
I don't know yet.
No idea yet.
The last one that I know of that I had anything to do with was put in by the original developer of Hickory Nut Mountain, and everybody made fun of him for what he was doing. I said the guy came out here and did a lightning dance, but he did a series of circles and ground wires and so forth, and it looked kind of chaotic, but it did work. It didn't. I wouldn't say it helped tremendously. So I don't know what the latest technology is that's out there now to solve a problem like this, but they're supposed to get us the information. So we do a little comparison and see what makes the most sense. And I would just be guessing if I took a guess at the cost. I really don't know yet.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thing is, we want to solve the problem the best we can, but when it's an act of God, who can?
Yeah.
Terry Dobbs, I want to first thank the council, the mayor, and everybody. The code break system is great. Those of you in the public that have not signed up for it, I would recommend it. So it's worked out fabulously, and I want to thank everybody's involved in EMS, getting our water system back up. I just wanted to bring a few things to the council mayor's attention. I've reviewed the water reports for the past year and a half, and I understand the policy now is that the reports are not discussed. They can be, but they're not gone in detail in each of the council meetings. So I took the time to actually go through it, and I just wanted to point out had a few questions, and so starting off with some great compliments. Thanks to y'all for installing the new tank, completed the jungle repairs. Looks like in the report, the flow meter to the sand filter at the main city well was completed. So again, we appreciate the hard work and taxpayer monies being spent to fix. My concern is in the budget of $16,000 was put in to, for expenses and maintenance. Obviously, we can tap into SPOS, which I understand there's designated funds for that. So looking at the reports from starting in January 6th of 2020, EMS, our water department, recommended to the council generators, redundant backup VFDs, which were just mentioned again. A resident, Jimmy Cash, who I understand is knowledgeable in this water stuff, can assist with emergencies. Backup pump, clean city storage tank. That was all brought up in January 6th of 2020. Obviously, we've been dealing with COVID. So then March 3rd of 2020, recommended a SCADA system. And then on August the 3rd, a recommendation of the filter system, the Hickory Nut Well 104, there's a filter leak. On July 12th of 21, the report that I just looked at, the concern is, number one, and you guys have the report, the new storage tank at Hickory Nut is emptied on 2 occasions. EMS continues to investigate what can be causing the issue. So my request to the council with our taxpayer money is continue being more proactive here. We are a very reputable company that y'all communicated with. So where do we stand from all the way back from January of 6th of 2020 for the generators to get all of these items? So I'm assuming and trust, and I know Larry's over the water department, the mayor assists, that these are, where is the to-do list? Because my concern is these reports are online and available, but they're not being discussed in our public meeting. So that's where I would like these addresses at this point.
Well, some of them we pull out, we leave in. If there's something that's worthy to discuss that we feel like we can actually do something about, we pull that out and discuss it, like the tank monitors we talked about last month. So we do pull those out and look at them, but we also have other conversations just on the street with each other where we say, okay, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you went and did that, but we don't have $70,000 put in a new filtration, SCADA and filtration system. So why bring that out for the council to discuss if there's nothing to discuss? So, and then generators, we can't afford some of the generators we would need. We looked at them, but there's no way for us to afford them right now, especially when the new Habersham SPOS is going to have to go, half of that's going to have to go to new radios for public safety when we get there, when Habersham changes their system over. The leak problem that we've had up on the mountain, on the new tank, we believe, we're not 100% sure, but we found 2 leaks on Gorgeview that have now been fixed and 2 leaks up on Hickory Nut Mountain that have now been fixed. And that tank has not drained again since those have been fixed. But those are conversations we just kind of had, and so we didn't think, I'm sorry, I didn't, we take care of stuff. We're making sure we're staying on top of things as best we can. But right now, our budget just doesn't allow us to go into a whole lot of extra expense. We've got to look at lightning suppression stuff. I think that takes priority over generators. And so we want to make sure we're being fiscally responsible. And rather than go out and jump on the first thing EMS suggests to us, we wanted to kind of pull the reins back and say, let's wait a little while. Let's see what the next thing's going to blow up on us. and then make a decision, because sometimes we can only react. We can't always be proactive on everything with our water system, even though we try. Sometimes we have to react, and we need cash to be able to do that. So-
Okay, I guess as a taxpayer and a water user, there's two things you need, Rick. Water, oxygen, electricity. So we're paying property tax, whatever. Linda reported a substantial revenue in our town. So these were being brought up starting January 6th of 2020. I'm requesting the council to seriously look at these recommendations and start figuring out how to implement these, because we have to have water. And again, I want to thank y'all for what you've done, but this knee-jerk reaction, this has been being discussed since January 2020. What's the game plan? Where are the number, and I know y'all are gathering the numbers in, but I would rather, I would like these reports to be discussed every month to what's the status of this. So, and again, I want to thank, it's a hard job, but I get it. I want to thank all that you have done, but it's not in the budget. We can pull it out of the spot. There's money there. There's money there to do the necessary improvements.
Well, that was gonna be my comment, was to get this money, can we get a grant or from Splash?
In some
I
ways,
mean,
yes.
and I don't really know anything about Splash, but I know that when I look at it, there's money there. So is that possible? Or write a grant? Try to get a grant, I would think that certainly would be feasible, a town's partial for the water system.
All right, thank you all for y'all's input. Any other comments?
Mike, what's the status on that, your SCADA system that you had ordered?
They came in
Where's that?
and they're in, and I need to get with Mike. They went to the conference this week. And I need to get with Mike and Josh and work out how to get those installed, get them bottom line. So, yeah, they're here. They're ready to go.
And that was recommended by EMS, that SCADA system?
No, that was recommended by me. And I talked with EMS and they said that it should work if it, and we agreed, we talked about it last month and the council agreed to get it. So, Marcia?
Yes, at last night's public hearing in zoning, we presented our objection on the proposed tree ordinance, and so we just wanted to make sure that all the members of the council received a copy of
Yes, please.
our objection. So,
Thank you.
I see them now.
Thank you.
Got one.
Clint? No, okay. No, I saw you move, I thought you raised your hand, sorry.
I was stretching.
Okay. I just caught it out of the corner of my eye. All right, if there's no more public comment, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. It's a busy reading.
Motion to adjourn.
Tommy, Joey seconds, all in favor, it's unanimous. All right. Thank you all.
Aye.